Welcome to this good, fabulous Friday. My name is Lynn Burnett, and you're listening to Find Your Groove. You know, I read that joy is the simplest form of gratitude, and I have to agree, because joy is pure, unadulterated happiness. It sticks around. It's within you. It just is. It's different than happiness. And I know we're going to talk about that with my guest today. And when I booked my guest, I didn't realize it was going to be Good Friday. So how appropriate. And you will know that as we get into the conversation, because today is about fun, but it's also related to this holiday weekend. My fabulous guest is Alissia Jayne, and she's a licensed clinical therapist, a personal trainer, and a lover of jumping on sofas. As a contemporary spiritual teacher, she shares the deep meaning of fun, laughter, and childlike innocence. She's currently working on a Master's of Divinity at the University of Chicago, and she's also the author of God Flips Burgers, turning your spiritual grunt work over to childlike innocence. Yes, Alissia, thank you so much for joining me.
Lynn, it's awesome to be here on this day. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Oh, it's because it's going to be fun. And that's what I like, is that this is it's a serious, important holiday today, not for everybody, but for the majority of the world. It is Good Friday. But I think that we need to also bring in that element, because I think it gets so serious. So I'm so excited that we can talk about fun, laughter, and playfulness, and how it does have a place in our lives. And I think we get so serious, and there's this perception that if we're not serious, then we're not responsible, we're not trustworthy, we can't be counted on, all of those things. And right. I mean, that's the way it seems to be. And with all that's going on in the world today, man, we need some more of that.
Yeah. Amen, sister. Preach it. You're so right. And, talking about today and the holiday and the darkness that can surround it, is this flip side, this beautiful flip side of the coin. And not to get too religious here, but I believe that Jesus had a wicked sense of humor. And
Me too.
Okay,
Me
cool.
Too.
Believe it or not, we are not in bad company, Lynn. There are a lot of scholars out there and theologians who believe the same thing. It's just perhaps more muted, this sense of humor. So absolutely. While, yes, today is a dark day, there is this flip side that there was such beautiful light that surrounded Jesus, and humor and joy and humility and happiness in what he did and his ministry. And I think it's appropriate to talk about that on this day as we remember a life that was truly instrumental in changing the face of our world as we know it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, you call yourself a contemporary spiritual teacher. What does that mean?
Oh, that's a great question. Contemporary from a standpoint, I suppose that I'm here now, right, in our postmodern context. But also contemporary, I think, in that my ideas, kind of as you alluded to, are not conventional in my estimation. So when we talk about spirituality and we talk about spiritual pursuits, like you said, Lynn, we oftentimes think about seriousness, that we have to take ourselves really seriously, that we have to sit down and we have to meditate and we have to pray and we have to sacrifice and we have to be almost stoic as we go through this process, right? And if we're not doing those things, then we're not taking the process seriously. We're not being mature in our spiritual growth and development. And so as a contemporary spiritual teacher, I'm kind of pushing back against that a little bit and saying, the heck with it. There's a flip side to that coin as well, which is there's happiness and joy and innocence and laughter and beauty that surrounds all of us. It's all part of creation. And why not look to that just as we look to the other practices to enliven our spiritual being, to animate us as we move forward in our spiritual growth and development. So in my estimation, that would be my definition anyway of a contemporary spiritual teacher, is that I'm going to push back against that a little bit.
I think there are some people that are doing that now. I think we are seeing that now, and the discussion of the difference between religion and spirituality.
Absolutely.
So, for you, what do each of those mean? What's the difference? Is there a difference for you?
That is the question. It becomes really murky. It really does.
I think it's a personal belief thing.
I would agree. I think that conventionally, when people think about religion, we're thinking about Christianity or Buddhism or Hinduism or Muslim. We're thinking about these particular traditions affiliated with a guru or a sage or an avatar or a savior, whereas spirituality tends to be this kind of hybrid, this smorgasbord of different types of pop psychology and self-help and spiritual practices, perhaps borrowed from different traditions, mystical traditions, esoteric traditions. So I feel like spirituality might be just a little bit more broad than we might conceive of religion. But if we really boil it down to its essence, there's not that much difference. There's a lot of integration that happens and can happen between these two concepts if we look at it closely.
Yes, I think there is. Sort of like Eastern and Western medicine. I think we can all play nice together.
Well, isn't that a profound concept?
How did you grow up? What was your household religious? See, I grew up Catholic, so I went to, we didn't regularly go to church, but I did catechism classes, and I did my first communion and all of that stuff. But I can't say that we were at church every Sunday, and I don't practice it now. Once I grew up and moved out, I mean, that definitely wasn't part of my life, but there are definitely elements of it. So when did you grow up in a strict religious household, or what was it?
Yeah, good question. So like you, I was grown up, I was raised Catholic. And it was interesting. And I talked to my mom about this recently. So my mom was a catechism teacher. She taught CCD at our church for 25 years. And subsequently, she taught my two younger brothers and my younger sister. So we were embedded in the church, but we never went to church on Sundays. We were the family that went on major holidays such as, I don't know, Easter.
Yeah, Christmas.
Right, exactly. And so I asked my mom, I said, what's the deal? Because you raised us to value this. You raised us with First Communion, and we made our confirmation. We did all those things. But yeah, we never went to church. And she said, I can't really offer you a good answer for that. So while it was, it's just so funny. So while it was part of the fabric of my being and part of my community, it was not strict by any means.
Mm-hmm. So do you practice now, or what? Is it changed? I know for some people grow up a certain way, and then, when you kind of become the person somewhat that you're going to be, and you start testing things out and testing different ideas, a lot of people will change religions.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Cliff Notes version on my path of spiritual and religious development. So as I mentioned, grew up Catholic, and much like you, when I moved out, I went to college. I was an athlete at the time. I was involved in an athlete's Bible study, but never attended church or anything when I was in college, except when I would come home for holidays. And when I left college, I never went back to the church. So in my early 20s and into my 30s, it was really more about this hybridity of spirituality. So I spent a lot of time studying Eastern traditions, such as Buddhism and Hinduism. I also spent a lot of time enmeshed in the self-help movement, following various teachers, you know the drill, buying CDs, reading books, going to workshops, on and on and on and on and on. So I did that for a long time, and eventually came back to this place of what I would call healing around my Christianity and my faith. And so now, as you mentioned in the intro, I am a divinity student at the University of Chicago, and I am studying under the auspice of Christianity, and with this kind of evolving spiritual persona, I now have claimed the American Baptist Church as my home. So I am a practicing American Baptist, and am actually, just as of today, in fact, have decided that I am going to pursue the ordination process, which is very, very exciting.
Oh, congrats. That's cool.
Thank you very much. It is very exciting and very humbling at the same time. So to answer your question, am I practicing Catholicism? No. Am I practicing Christianity? Yes, very much so.
Yeah. It definitely does change for people, and they come. I think it's a little bit of a journey coming around to what I was taught and told hold true for me, and we have to go through that journey of looking into these different things and trying them on, and then coming back around and go, yes, I think that fits well for me.
Absolutely. I could not have come back around to this space and place and time had it not been for all the time that I spent away. I wouldn't have developed the appreciation or the desire to reconnect. And by virtue of engaging in those particular environments, I have come to a deeper sense of relationship with God. I've come to this understanding of innocence and the importance of it, which is the whole concept behind my book. It was instrumental. Had I not taken that time away to find, quote unquote, find myself, then I wouldn't be here. And so I'm so grateful for the time that I spent in that journey and then in that soul searching, because it's enriched me in such deep and meaningful ways.
Yeah, good point. Good point, taking that time away. I think it's so frustrating for people, and I think too for myself, is, we're all these different religions. We're all trying to get to the same place. But people are getting bashed for it. It's like we're all on the same team, people.
Yeah.
So why are these, we see these religious wars that go on, and it's just, it kind of blows your mind, because you think this is not what it's supposed to be about. It's not about hatred and violence and all of those different things. And yet but yet that's what goes on. And it's, hey, we're all going to the same place. We're all in this together.
Yes.
So it's funny that it's what it is in and of itself. Religion is supposed to be such a good connecting thing. Really draws so many apart.
Yeah, it is sad, isn't it? It's heartbreaking. And because you're right, where are we all trying to get at the end of the day, at the end of our lives? Where are we trying to get? I think we're trying to get back to love.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to get back to oneness.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to get back to peace and a deep sense of meaning and purpose and connection. And that connection can come from with source, right? With creator, God, goddess, whatever that might be for you, or connection with one another, with our humanity, with our shared humanity. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I'm a Baptist and you're a Catholic, or you're spiritual but not religious, or even if you're atheist. We're all just trying to make meaning and purpose out of our lives and trying to live the best life that we can. And unfortunately, you're right that religion does categorize, label us, and define us in such ways that it creates separation. When in the end, if we boil it down to its essence, we can see the tenets. The same things are being said time and time and time again for centuries, and it's about love.
It is. It is. It's just so simple. So this is really weird. So now, how I had said, I didn't know at the time that you were scheduled to come on my show with it being Good Friday. So then last night, my husband and I are like, hey, do you want to watch a movie? So I'm like, yeah, I really want to watch this movie. So we ended up watching Spotlight.
Oh,
It's so weird how all these things just kind of came around this one time. But did you see that movie?
I haven't, but my beloved my beloved Kita saw it this week, and we were actually just talking about it this morning, and how just astounding and heart-wrenching.
Astounding, yes. We were talking about it after, saying that, and it just shows you how big the Catholic Church is that this terrible thing that happened didn't bring the church down. But when you were watching the movie and we're finding out actually how many Catholic priests, how big it was, and how many Catholic priests were involved in this terrible tragedy, you think, oh my God, how many people do I meet, do I know, that are friends, that are acquaintances, that I work with? How many of them have been molested? How many of them were victims of this? How many, so it's Chicago, where you are. It was estimated around 90 priests out of 1,500. I thought, 1,500 even just in one city? 1,500 priests? Holy cow, how many churches are there? But it was estimated 90 priests and over 1,000 children were molested just in Chicago.
Yeah.
It
truly...
You almost can't even wrap your brain around that.
No, and nor do I really want to. Can I be honest about this?
I know,
Because, and let me make this clear, that I still hold deep reverence for the Catholic Church. And one of my beloved mentors is a Catholic priest. And I think that the current Pope is an amazing human being. So let me just throw those things out there on the table.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that being said, you want to talk about shattering innocence, right? You want to talk about robbing people the opportunity to experience joy and happiness and to experience that oneness and that love. I mean, in my conception, the church is someplace where we should feel safe and loved and accepted, and to be in that place where that isn't the case and that sense of innocence is taken from you.
Yeah,
that's what really breaks my heart, Lynn.
Yeah,
is that it's taken, and oftentimes people never get it back. They never get it back.
That's right. That's right. And rob them of the opportunity to have that connection to something greater than themselves, whether it's God or whatever they want to call it.
Right. Absolutely. Because how can you trust in a God that lets that happen to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? How can you believe in this institution that has hurt you?
Yeah.
Where do you go with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the advent of ignorance. This is how it happens. This is how people turn away, and this is how religion gets a bad name. Because I don't believe that religion is bad inherently in itself. I don't think it's bad. I think it gets a bad name by virtue of behaviors and actions performed in the name of religion.
Yes.
But religion in itself is a really, really beautiful concept. If we can return ourselves to that space of right understanding, right relationship, and innocence.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think that whatever that calling, some people have that pull. They're drawn to really spend their life in service of what God means for them.
Yes.
And some people have that from the time that they're children. They just know that they feel that connection.
Mm-hmm.
There's a connection to something, and maybe as children they don't really understand what it is, because I know that there's some people that grew up in households that weren't religious, didn't
Mm-hmm.
actively practice a religion, but they feel that connection. They felt that something within themselves.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's the root of it then.
Yeah,
It's that
absolutely.
connection within themselves.
Absolutely. I tell a story in the book. I think I tell a story in the book. I tell a lot of stories in the book, don't I?
Lots, yes.
But of my experience of growing up in the church and how I hated Sunday school. I hated it. I hated sitting in those sterile classrooms with people talking at me and telling me what I should believe. And just for the record, I don't like being told what to do. People should know that about me. And so we would leave Sunday school and I would stay behind, and the church would let me volunteer by doing things like cleaning up the rooms or, at that time we had chalkboards, right? So cleaning, banging erasers and wiping down the chalkboards and just generally tidying things up after all the other kids had left. And it was in that silence and that service of that space, that was my worship. That was my time to connect with God. It wasn't when people were talking at me. It wasn't when I was studying. It was in being in silence and in service in a sacred place. And I knew that from when I was a very little girl. Now, I had abandoned that knowing for a long time, and it took me many, many, many years to come back around. But that was it for me. That was my worship. As a little,
you knew that instinctively.
I did. I
Yeah.
did. I felt that connection. I had it. And somewhere along the lines, I convinced myself that I didn't.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
Right.
So how do we get back to that? Get back to the fun, because I absolutely believe that we're not supposed to be serious all the time, that, life is about joy and laughter and having fun and jumping on sofas and feeling all of that. But you definitely get that sideways look sometimes. So this reminds me, a mutual friend of ours, Lisa Freed, had done a video and posted it on Facebook last week, I think. Because she had been getting feedback from people, because she is one who, I don't know, for lack of a better word, a little crazy, but she has fun. She has fun, and she doesn't hold back what she feels in the moment, but getting feedback that, oh, maybe I can't count on you if there really was something serious going on. I don't think I could count on you to come to you, because would you take it seriously and all of that? So she did a video did you see that video?
I did not see that video.
Oh, yeah. So she did a video in response to that. And so it kind of reminded me of that. And that's sort of the idea that people have. Like, if you're fun and wild and zany and like to play and be goofy, and that really you can't maybe be counted on in a difficult time, or that you don't take things seriously, and maybe you're not trustworthy. Yeah. And that isn't the case, is it?
No, it certainly isn't. Because let's think about nature, okay? If we think about nature and just the laws of nature, there is nothing in nature that is one-sided, right? So day turns to night, the seasons change, at least by me they do. Like, it was 70 earlier in the week, and then it was snowing yesterday. That there's this cycle of birth and death and rebirth, and it's happening around us constantly. And so for people who would argue, well, I don't know if I can trust you because you have this side. Well, we're not one-sided. We're not one-sided creatures. We're not designed to be that way. So I believe that for those of us who can go to this place of innocence and play, and if we can fully inhabit that, and we can get into the depths of that beingness, just imagine the depths of beingness that we have available, the reservoirs that we have available to us in moments of crisis.
Yeah.
Because I think they're just different sides of the same coin. For as much as a person can experience joy, they can experience the same amount of sadness. Right?
Absolutely.
So that would be my argument for people who see it that way, is just to push back and say, look, like, and admittedly, I want to defend Lisa a little bit because I adore her, right? And because I know her and I know that she's a very reliable and wonderful human being in moments of pain, that we're not one-sided. And that for the depths that we can experience one emotion, we can also experience the other if we allow ourselves that opportunity.
Absolutely. That's such a difficult thing for people to feel. But that thing about play and laughter and that childlike innocence, I mean, look at children. They are completely uninhibited and they have that joy. They're open. They don't yet have that, you should believe this, you should believe that, you shouldn't be like this, be quiet. There's that uninhibited joy that they feel, and they are the ones that are most connected because they're the less clouded by thoughts and beliefs and worries and all of those things. To me, that's sort of proof, like that joy and play and playfulness does help bring you closer to that connection, whatever it is for you.
Yeah. You asked before, how do you get to that place? Well, watch a child, right? Watch a child engage in their environment. And like you just described, there will be no doubt in your mind how we are meant to be in this world. No doubt of what's available to us. Where is it written? Tell me where it's written that it says, okay, when you reach a certain age, you have to give all of this stuff up. You can't smile. You can't laugh. You can't swing on a swing. You can't jump on a sofa. You can't paint your face. You can't wear leg warmers out in public. I mean, I don't know. Pick your poison, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Tell me where that's written that we can't do that. I mean, what is life? Truly, what is life if you cannot enjoy it? If you cannot inhabit it fully? If you cannot feel the depths of pain and the depths of ecstasy? Then tell me what it is. Because again, I don't think things are one-sided. And I don't think we can live in that space of one-sidedness. Because in actuality, getting back to Spotlight, if I may for a moment, I think it's that one-sidedness, the demand that we put on clergy, that they have to restrict themselves in certain ways, that really creates this problematic behavior. And so when we try to restrict ourselves from our true essence, from our true nature, from both sides of the coin, chances are I think we're going to be pretty miserable.
Absolutely. Totally. And I think some people know it. So I'm a certified laughter yoga leader.
Oh, you are not. Really?
I am.
I love laughter yoga. It's so great.
I know, isn't it? So it's mind-blowing. When I went and did the training for it, it was like I was in the Twilight Zone. And I mean, it's not like I was, a stoic, serious person, but I mean, that was totally beyond. So it was really bizarre doing that training and, laughing for 8 hours a day straight. Yeah. But it's so cool. And I thought, this is a really great thing to add to what I do. And so I was doing it regularly at a local gym for a while. And I thought the coolest thing was people would start out and you could see the inhibitions. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be willing to look silly and definitely act silly. And you could see as people would loosen up and get more into it, you could see how they were in the moment of it. And just the sheer, nothing else existed, just the joy of laughing. And people were like, they couldn't believe how something would start out just faking it would become so real. And the release in it. And how they felt afterwards. And, the feedback that you get that, wow, I need more of this. This is what I've been missing. And it's it never gets old. Every time I do a class, people are amazed. And I love seeing that amazement. They make that connection that, wow, this is great and it feels good. And I don't feel wrong for just laughing for no reason. And that's what I love about it because, we know that the mind can't tell the difference between fake and real.
Right.
And this is why it works so great and they can't believe how it starts out fake and it turns real. And, I think people are realizing, and I'm hearing it more, God, I need to laugh more. Like I'm finding I'm not laughing very much. So I don't do it all the time. I do it once in a while. And for a while I was doing it I was going to old folks' home and doing it with them. And they're craving that.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you're absolutely. I mean, you pointed to it earlier. In today's world, how much laughter could we use? I mean, and Lynn, the physiological benefits of laughter. You know what happens to our physical vessel when we laugh. You know about the goodness of the endorphins that race through our body. You know that it lowers our blood pressure. You know that these beautiful, happy chemicals go coursing through our bodies when we're laughing. And that's a beautiful thing. And if you don't think that facilitates connection to the divine, then you're missing the point. You're missing it. You're missing it.
It's the fastest connection between two people. And you see how people bond together in that one class.
Yeah. Yeah. Because laughter is a universal language, right?
Yes.
Everybody across cultures laugh. We know laughter. We know what laughter means. It doesn't matter who we are, it doesn't matter where we live. If we might not be able to relate to each other in language per se, but in laughter, we can always relate.
Yes. And just like in crying. And laughing and crying are very similar.
Absolutely. And
people I've had some people go to crying. Mm-hmm. But it's a release.
Absolutely.
That's why it's so good. We all need that release. So whether it's crying, whether it's laughing.
Yeah.
I cry like crazy. My hair's wet when I'm done a laughter yoga class because I'm crying so much from laughing so hard. It's just, that people are amazed. And that's what I love. It's the amazement and showing people. I was doing classes regular for widows. And they were like, wow. I didn't know I could feel this laughing just for the sake of laughing. And, there's this phrase that we don't laugh because we're happy because we laugh.
Yes. That
we can train ourselves. I know I laugh a lot more ever since I took that training. I think it was about 4 years ago. I became certified. And, I laugh more and I give them tips like, dedicate something in your home or the doorknob of your front door is your laughter doorknob. And before you go out into that world and you grab that doorknob, laugh.
Yeah.
And you can train yourself to laugh. You can train yourself to feel that joy a little bit more. And we see that, and, we'll see some videos on social media and these, 80, 90-year-old ladies, and they're laughing and they're dancing and they're being silly. And people are like, wow, I want to be like that. Well, be like that.
Yeah, make the choice. Right?
You can be like that. You really, really can. And so you see there's that yearning inside of people that want to have that. So one, Google laughter yoga in your area, guaranteed, because there's almost 6,000 groups around the world. Find a laughter club. Go try it out.
Yeah.
And experience that for yourself. Just be a little bit willing to look silly.
Yeah. And that necessitates us foregoing the judgment of others. And I think that's the biggest barrier, Lynn. I think that's really what holds most of us back from being
fear of
more
criticism.
joyful. Right? The fear of criticism, the fear of judgment, the fear of looking stupid, the fear of failure, the fear of blah, da, 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 blah, blah, da, da. It doesn't matter. Fill in the blank. That fear is so all-encompassing that we miss out on these wonderful opportunities to really nourish ourselves and to give ourselves what we so deeply yearn for, which is joy, which is happiness, which is connection, which is looseness, ease, freedom. But we've got to face that fear, and we've got to put that on the table and say, yeah, this is real for me. Now what do I do about it? How can I work with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think you feel that yearning you feel that yearning. So, answer the call. And, if you're afraid of if you don't want to go out in public and look silly, I mean, because I have done, so this is interesting. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
I'll tell you a little story. I've done these laughter yoga sessions for all different kinds of groups. I did it regularly in a gym for a while. I'll also go into people's homes. So sometimes groups want to get together or a different kind of like girls' night, at a friend's house, get together. I'll come in and do it. I've done it in old folks' home. I've done it in banks. They've had me come in, into places of work to connect, like team building type stuff.
Sure.
I find that the younger they are, now we're not talking kids. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on today. Not kids, but like teens in their 20s, that age. Yeah. Oh my God. That is the hardest group to do a laughter yoga session with. The older they are, the easier it is.
Yep.
I did it for a bunch of nurses in training one time. I went and did a laughter yoga session. Oh my God. I had people who right away are like, no, I'm just going to sit this out.
Yep.
I had people sit out during it. Like, oh no, I'm going to sit out. They would, you could see them like get into it and start to really laugh. And you'd see them like trying so hard to stifle it.
Oh.
And I thought, wow, that is so sad. And you're nurses.
Yeah.
You're nurses.
Right. And yeah, you probably need that more than a lot of the general population.
Yeah. You're going to be going ahead in something that's going to be really tough. You're going to need that. So the younger we are, the more they're trying to hold back.
Right.
And not look stupid.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that they think they're looking at each other and trying to stop the laughter. The older they are, they're just so much more open to it. Now, of course, when you do young kids, it's nothing to get them to do it.
Right.
But I found that very interesting as I was doing it after I had started doing it with different groups and putting it out there that I was available to come and do it for different groups. So I thought, wow, this is so interesting. So interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think as we age, right, we start to loosen some of those shackles on judgment, and we step more fully into who we are as beings.
Yeah, we don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's like, okay, whose life am I living? Right? Yeah. Byron Katie, whose work I admire, she once said something like, "There's three kinds of business, right? There's my business, there's your business, and then there's God's business. Whose business are you in?" Yes. Well, if I'm sitting around worried about how my colleague nurse is going to perceive me in laughter yoga, then I'm in her business, not mine. So who's tending to my business? Mm-hmm. Nobody, right? You leave yourself vulnerable. You're not caring for yourself. So, as we age, we start to loosen up on that and say, we just don't care. It's not worth it. We want to live our lives the way that we deserve to live. Yeah. And then certainly for the younger folks, I mean, when you're talking about teenagers, okay, there's all kinds of peer pressure. You got that stuff going on. When you're in your 20s, you're still trying to figure out who you are. I mean, and heck, I'm in my 30s and there are parts of me that I'm negotiating, right? So you've got some of that stuff going on. And then when you get into workplace dynamics, things get just kind of wonky. I know I've seen it from my own corporate experience. People, you got to go to trainings, right? And so you walk into a training and you're thinking, oh gosh, it's going to be the same old boring talking head shtick, and I'm going to have to sit here for 2 hours and try and not fall asleep, right? So I'm going to doodle on my paper. And then the trainer comes in and says, let's do something fun. Let's do a goofy role play, or let's play a game. And everyone automatically folds their arms and rolls their eyes. And it's like, okay, Well, you can't have it both ways, folks. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to be bored to tears, or do you want to step outside your comfort zone a little bit and imagine what it might be like if you let yourself loose, let yourself off leash a little bit?
Yeah.
And people struggle with that. I mean, that's a real thing. This fear of criticism and judgment is so insidious in society, and I would guess throughout the world. Not to speak for the world, but certainly in the Western world, this fear of judgment is just paralyzing.
It is. And so, for anyone listening, and you think, well, I can't do that. Start in your own home. Like start in your own home. I remember the simple fun of jumping up and down on my bed.
Yeah.
Or on the sofa. And what do we do when our kids doing that? Stop jumping. Stop jumping. You're going to hurt yourself.
Uh-huh.
So, start in your own home. If you have kids, like build the forts with them. Get on the floor and play. They even laughter yoga. So if anyone's interested in the laughter, maybe becoming certified laughter yoga leader, whatever, if you go to laughteryoga.org, the creator of this, Dr. Kataria, is in Mumbai, India. And he started this in 1995, and it's grown around the world. There's Laughter Yoga Day is in May, but they also have I think you can do it by Skype, and you can call in. They have a laughter line. So if you want to just call in and just listen to a bunch of people laughing, we see how, if you watch like America's Funniest Videos and you see like a bunch of babies laughing, you can't help but laugh. It's contagious. And you hear a kid laugh or a baby laugh or whatever, it's contagious. So you can do that. Like if you're worried about how you look, start at home. Start doing some things at home. Call into that line. Just start being playful. What do you do, Alissia?
Yeah. Well, everybody knows that I'm a prime, like Olympic grade sofa jumper at this point. And let me tell you, this serves two purposes. One is that it's ridiculously fun. But two, it is a heck of a workout. Like jump on your sofa for 2 minutes straight. And if you're not gasping for air, I'll be really impressed. So jumping on the sofa, I love music. Dance parties are like a go-to. So I will just pop some music on and I will just flat out flash dance in my living room or in the kitchen. I'm a maniac. Good. It's just there's hair everywhere and sweatshirts are flying off my shoulder. It's a whole thing. And so, I'll bust out in a dance party, or I like to do random silly voices. And so I'll just start talking in like some weird voice, right? That makes me laugh. I'll get on the floor and play with my 110-pound Newfoundland dog.
Ooh.
That's a lot of fun, to do a little romper room with her.
Yeah.
I'll color. I'll draw. I'll watch silly videos, like you said, on YouTube or something of like, animal, like bears and tigers cuddling or kids laughing hysterically. And these are things in the privacy of my own home that bring me just incredible joy. Yeah. So there's always something. Sometimes I'll even just put on a costume and walk around the house. Because
really?
Yeah. I have
dress up.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Just try. Seriously, I think this has merit. There's actually training. On a more serious note, there's mask training, and they do it a lot of times with actors to teach them how to transform themselves, how to become something else. So when they put on these masks, it's like they've been taken over, right? That they're no longer themselves, that this mask kind of takes on its own persona and being. And so putting on a mask or like a different outfit that you wouldn't ordinarily wear and embodying that and seeing what that feels like and playing with this identity, I think is really cool practice. It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much you could do in your own home, but take that chance and step out and be silly somewhere else. And, there's just, I think you need it. And you mentioned coloring books. So now adult coloring books are the big thing. I think
Huge.
these are little signs of what people are wanting. I
Yeah.
mean, it's huge now.
It
And
is. It's
so if the
booming.
need wasn't there, it wouldn't be so big.
Right.
Seeing those simple joys again, that
Right.
we are just want to be taken back, that sometimes life gets a little heavy and we need something else.
Yeah. Well, society is so demanding. I
It
mean,
is.
think about the pace at which we live our lives right now. Think about the demands, the constant demand. While technology is great, and Lynn, certainly you and I would not be having this conversation if it were not for technology, but it's demanding. It's always in our face. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we're balancing a million things. We have families, maybe we have kids, we have a job, we have
Yeah.
responsibilities, we have bills to pay. Even when you're in your car, think about it, you're driving and you're talking on the phone and you're trying to manage directions. I mean, our attention is so taxed at all times.
Yeah.
It's like, when do we step away from that? When do
Yeah.
you step away from that and let yourself be? When do you step away from that and let yourself experience joy? When do you step away from that and allow yourself the ability to be silly? Because I'll tell you, people, that if we don't step away and find ways to disconnect and connect and reconnect with joy, then we are going to run ourselves into the ground, and it's going to take a toll on our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. No questions asked.
Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And people see that and they experience that, but don't get to that point. I think what we're saying is don't get to that point where you're completely depleted.
Mm-hmm.
Just start doing little things now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and they
remember
don't
that
have,
joy.
right. And they don't have to be monumental things. Right?
No.
One of the things I talk about in God Flips Burgers is simplicity. And I think that this is the foundation of everything else. I think the simpler the better. And so if you develop simple daily rituals, such as, okay, you've got your laughter doorknob, right? Or I'm going to take 2 minutes today and I'm going to dance it out. I'm going to shake my body. I'm going to move in time and space. Whatever they are, they don't have to be complicated rituals. They can be really, really simple. And in that simplicity, be incredibly profound. I guarantee you, start doing simple things to connect with joy and watch as your life transforms. It will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen.
I think, and for some people that would be like, well, I don't know what to do. Think back to when you were a kid. What were the things you did as a kid? I remember, for me, rolling down a grassy hill
Yes.
and letting yourself go, and you just rolled faster and faster and faster until you got to the bottom of the hill and stopped. And how amazing that was.
Mm-hmm.
Think back to those things you did as a kid that you loved.
Yeah.
And
For
start doing
me-
it. Find a field somewhere and roll down that freaking hill. And who cares if you get grass stains?
Yeah.
Do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Twirling in the grass is fantastic. Splashing in puddles is like the greatest thing you could ever do in your life. It is so much fun. These are things that I used to do when I was a little girl. Unfortunately, I'm a little big for big wheels. Do you remember big wheels?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They need to bring those back for adults. Maybe they're
Yeah.
called cars now. I don't know. But I used to love racing down the driveway on a big wheel. It was so great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you make a great
Yes.
point, right? Remember what it was. Remember back to when you were young and imbued with this innocence. And what were the things that made your heart sing? Did you color? Did you draw? Did you read books? Did you ride bikes? Did you play games? I mean, heck, board games. Board games now, they're getting more and more interesting, I got to tell you, and perhaps
are.
more inappropriate. But nonetheless, they're very, very fun, and I've seen myself take up more and more board games as of late, as a means of just having fun and laughter and stress reduction. But think back to what you really enjoyed as a child.
Yeah.
See if you can rekindle some of those flames.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a good place for people to start. Like, think back, just sit quietly and think back. What are those silly things that you did as a kid? I remember always sitting, just flipping around in my chair and going upside down. So I had done that in my last photo shoot. I was in a chair and I was like, remember when you were a kid and you used to flip around upside down?
Yeah.
And eat your head off?
Right.
So the photographer was like, do that. So I have a picture like that.
That's awesome.
Little things like that. Blow bubbles in your drink. Like, I remember doing that as a kid. Just think back, and then all of a sudden something will pop into your head.
Yeah, with like crazy straws, right? With those curly straws.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But who says you can't do that now? Who says you can't do that now? So
the only people who are saying that are us.
The people who wish they could. The people who wish they could do that are the ones that are saying that.
Yeah, yeah. So to heck with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heck with them. I mean, again, it gets back to whose life do you want to live? You know, whose life is it? Do you want to take ownership? And if so, great. How do you want to live that? Do you want to live it being miserable and restricted and shackled to what society deems as acceptable? Or do you want to bend the rules a little bit?
Yeah.
And be a little bit of a rebel? I mean, we are on Rebel Hearted Radio after all. I mean, redefine the rules. Write them for yourself. Who says you can't?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You got to find your groove in all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We are running out of time. So people can buy your book. If you can go to godflipsburgers.com and people can read about the book and all the great little stories that you have in there and the connections that you make and making this exactly what we've been talking about here. Yeah. And how to make those connections to make it, well, really the deep meaning about fun and laughter and childlike innocence and how you can nurture that within yourself to get more connected to God or whatever that is for you. So if they can go to godflipsburgers.com, they can buy your book there, right?
Yes, there'll be a link at the bottom of the page for Amazon, and it'll take you over there where you can pick up your copy. And you'll get
It's not a big book. It's not a big book.
No. And that was by design, because I wanted it to be something that was quick and easy to digest. I want it to be fun. I'm hoping that by reading it, people will get drawn back into their own childhood and to really, conjure up some of those things, Lynn, that we've been talking about in this hour. And, something that you could go back and easily reference if you're feeling stuck. You could just flip it back open and say, oh, what did she say about that? Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So it's a quick read. Most people, they said they've read it in like a day, in a matter of hours.
I think it's like 150, 60 pages or something. Yeah, it's like a great little handbook for if you feel like you need some more meaning in your life or things are a little too serious. It's a great little handbook for that. Yeah. God Flips Burgers, turning your spiritual grunt work over to childlike innocence because life is too damn serious.
That is what I'm saying. And let's lighten it up, people. Let's have a little fun, shall we?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. And you see it. People want it. People are craving it.
Yep.
And, and you give it to them.
Hey, like you said earlier, there's a legion of us out there that are starting to awaken this sleeping giant to say enough. Enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to do this differently. And here's how.
Yeah.
And so I want to invite all of your listeners, Lynn, just to come out and play. Just come out and play. Put the seriousness aside. Put it down for a while. Just come outside and see what it's like. If you don't like it, that's great. You can go back inside. But just give it a shot and see if it makes a difference in how you feel connected to yourself, to your source, and to the world at large.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just take a chance.
That's it.
That's all it is.
That's it.
And if anybody has any questions, wants to reach out to Alissia, you can reach her at Alissia Jayne at gmail.com.
Yes, that's correct.
And godflipsburgers.com. Be sure to visit that website. Get your copy.
Yeah, and also I would invite listeners, if you want to connect with me in the Facebook realm, and as well as the Twitter realm, I've got a Facebook page, God Flips Burgers. Hook up with me there. I'm always trying to post some fun stuff there about just innocence in general and play and so forth. But also at Twitter, my handle is at Alissia_Jayne. Connect with me there because I'm always trying to be active and putting thought-provoking things out into the universe. So I hope to see you in the virtual realm, if nowhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because we need more laughter and fun and play and oh my gosh. Just before we wrap up, I just want to finish this one thing. If you could finish this sentence for me, please.
Yeah.
Alissia Jayne is
Burger.
perfect ending. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Read the book and you'll know exactly what that means.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a fun, man, this time has flown by.
Yeah.
A fun hour. Thank you so much for joining me on this Good Friday.
My pleasure, Lynn. It's been delightful, and my heart. I have to tell you, my heart just feels so open, and I have this huge smile on my face. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This has been fun. I have the best guests ever. You are awesome. Thank you so much. And get the book, people. Get the book, God Flips Burgers. Go to godflipsburgers.com and make it your handbook for life. Handbook for life, because, man, we got to have some fun.
That's it.
So I'm going to go jump on my sofa now and have a fantastic day. Thank you so much. And thank you. And thank you everybody for listening. I appreciate you taking the time today to listen. If you know somebody that could use a little bit of fun, send them over to listen to this show, because all shows are recorded. And send them to godflipsburgers.com and get that book. Get it as a gift for somebody who you think could use a little bit of joy and laughter. And, well, we all could. But maybe you know somebody who's like really, really uptight and it needs it. So thank you, Alissia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a fantastic Easter weekend. And I will catch you here next Friday. Same place, same time. Until then, remember, you have the power within you. Bye now.